This is Saturday, June 6th. Welcome to the C2C community. This is a real estate mentorship community, and your family's finances is at the foundation. Giving you an update on the second stimulus bill, on the second stimulus checks. On my last video, I talked about the suggestion from Mitch McConnell about the Senate putting a pause for a month on the HEROES Act, with the Senate Republicans trying to buy time to see how the economy is performing as most states are reopening. I also talked about Congressman Ro Khanna's Emergency Money for People's Act, which is a proposal for $2,000 a month for 6 months and with a possible renewal for up to 12 months. The Emergency Money for People's Act has been greatly endorsed by Bernie Sanders. So could this be something the Senate Republicans are also considering? Or could they be considering the Senator Rob Portman's $450 a week back to work bonus as an incentive to get people back to work in order to stimulate the economy? On Wednesday this week, the senior White House economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, he gave an interview on Fox News where he talked about that the president was leaning more towards a payroll tax cut, which could possibly increase income to about 7.6%. Could that be something they are looking at instead of the HEROES Act? Larry Kudlow also told Fox News the back-to-school bonus from Senator Portman was also a great idea, and he said the Senator Portman's proposal is something we are looking at very carefully. So could this be all the reasons why the Republicans are buying time, looking at all of these different options? Some Senate Democrats, like Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland, he had also argued a second stimulus bill should be more targeted to people who are hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Whatever's happening at the Senate between the Senate Republicans and the Democrats, I know for sure the outcome will be something good for the American people. Perhaps the report this week from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis justifies the Senate's reluctance in passing the HEROES Act. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, in the first quarter of 2020, the GDP fell by 5%. In March, there was a negative 2.2% of personal income, and in April, personal income rose by 10.5%. Disposable personal income increased 12.9%. This is money just sitting somewhere and people just looking at it. Personal savings rose by 31 to 33% in April 2020. This 10.5 increase in personal income can be traced back to the Economic Impact Payments, which is a CARE Act that was passed in March 2020. It provided $300 billion in direct support to individuals. Is this what the White House is looking at? Is this what the Senate Republicans are looking at? These numbers are looking good for the economy, but they are putting more holes into the possibilities of another stimulus check. Because the Senate is going to argue, but this money went into people's hands and they just did not spend the money. How can you justify a 12.9 increase in personal incomes for money that was supposed to be a stimulus to stimulate the economy, to increase spending, which was not the case? The CARES Act also provided $268 billion for expanded unemployment benefits. This also covered the federal unemployment compensation payments of $600 a week and the pandemic emergency unemployment compensation for 13 weeks. So was Mark Cuban right when he talked about the use it or lose it all debit card? Mark Cuban had argued back that the best way to stimulate the economy was to give people Visa cards and give them a maximum of 10 days to start that money. If you don't spend it, you lose it. So was Mark Cuban right? I guess based on the reports from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, Mark Cuban may have been right. Looking at the numbers in April, I'm sure the Senate is now looking at ways to stimulate the economy rather than provide another stimulus check that will increase personal income, increase disposable income, decrease consumer spending, and increase savings, which could be very counterproductive for the entire objective of this stimulus, which is to actually stimulate the economy, actually to get people out there to spend so businesses can stay afloat. That's my thought process. This could have been the whole idea behind the delay, why Senator Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader, was saying, let's put a pause and see how things are going. And if you listen to Larry Kudlow, from what he's saying right now, and the president talking more about payroll tax cuts, they are leaning more towards that and leaning more towards the $450 back to work bonus. I am sure they are looking at numbers like this and making those kind of analysis. The jobs report for May, released yesterday, I think it would determine the way forward on how the Senate will structure the next stimulus bill. You would think that we had more job losses in April. No. The economy gained 2.5 million jobs in April. Although that is not enough to upset, the current situation, but that is good news. I looked at a report from Bloomberg News, and Bloomberg News was simply saying, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate fell from 14.7% in April to 13.3% in May. This may not be a very big upset, but still, it is giving an indicator to the White House and to the Senate on how to better structure the next stimulus package. It's my opinion, this fall in the unemployment rate will change the conversation at the negotiation table with regards to the $3.1 trillion for the HEROES Act. Let's wait and see what will be the outcome. Most states are now in phase 2 reopening, almost at 100% capacity reopening. I think we will see even much better numbers for the economy in June and July. The Payment Protection Program, I think you can argue, worked positively because it went to stimulate and keep the small businesses afloat. And that's why you could see some of these numbers, the 2.5 million job gains, which means most of the small businesses were able to bring back their employees and return them to work. And that's why we're seeing these numbers. Another good news this week was the president signing the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act that was passed at the Senate last Wednesday, which I think is justifiable, because if the White House is looking at the numbers from the Labor Office and the numbers from the Economic Analysis Bureau, they can see that the PPP program helped businesses to stay afloat. So why not give more money to businesses so they could be able to continue to stimulate the economy? Will there be another stimulus bill? Yes, I am sure there will be another stimulus bill. The president even said it this week. He said, we will be asking for additional stimulus money. But he also highlighted what the White House economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, had talked about. Payroll tax cuts, which, according to the president and Larry Kudlow, will increase personal incomes by 7.6%. My conclusion, will there be another stimulus checks? Yes, but I think this time it will be more targeted. I'm sure they will use the data that they have so far in determining the negotiations and whatever they'll be able to give to the American people moving forward. I am suggesting we will see more going towards the PPP program. We'll see more going towards unemployment, and then we'll also see more going towards the 450 a week back to work bonus. So if you are new to our community, C2C is a real estate mentorship program, and your family's finances is at the foundation. So let's wait and see what next week is going to look like. And it is my hope that we get another stimulus bill and another stimulus check as soon as possible. But at this point, if you ask me about the Heroes Act, I am very skeptical about it. Thank you, and see you next.